Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 10 is the first of the 3 maintenance steps. By practicing a regular inventory in Step 10, we keep ourselves aware and focused in the present. We've done lots of challenging work as we've gone through the steps so far. As much as we might want to slow down, relax, or even stop, we need to be careful about sliding back into old habits and patterns. That's why we practice a regular check-in in Step 10. The observation and self-reflection monitor our lives and relationships in the present. This step keeps us focused on living each moment in a spiritual way and maintaining the progress we've already made. If we think of steps 1 through 9 as being similar to a physical checkup, Step 10 would be the routine we create afterward to keep our bodies in good health. When we get a checkup, we discover where our bodies need special attention. Then we begin the daily practices that will bring us optimum health. If we exercise, eat right, and minimize stress, our physical condition will be healthier. In Step 10, we begin the daily practices that will bring us the greatest emotional and spiritual health. We gained awareness from previous steps about where to place our attention. Now we make a daily commitment to continuing observation and reflection, recognizing when we're out of balance or hurting ourselves or others. Our ongoing awareness allows us to meet each day and each relationship with responsibility. Without daily reflection, we risk the emotional turmoil, new resentments, worries, jealousies, and fears that can push us back into our old behaviors. AA says that we have a daily reprieve from our drinking as long as we continue to practice what we've learned so far in recovery. We've taken the steps to understand the past and take responsibility for ourselves. Now we apply what we've learned to the present. In Step 10, we practice taking inventory of the things that are happening in our lives today, giving up our unwanted patterns and making amends right away. Some of us find it helpful to share our insights with someone else, as we did in Step 5. Many women do a formal 10th step every day, others once a week or once at other regular intervals. Some of us take a more informal approach, continually reflecting on our lives with an intuition or inner knowing that tells us when to stop and pay closer attention to a particular situation. The 10-step inventory helps us look at what's going on in our lives in the moment. By doing a 10th step, we avoid creating new wreckage with unfinished business that ends up blocking our path today. Step 10 gives us an opportunity to set things right in our relationships as we go along, rather than piling up resentments and regrets. We can think of a 10th step as an extension of the reflective activities we may already do, keeping a journal, talking through an issue with a therapist, turning to a friend to help us sort out our feelings. Remember that responsibility means the ability to respond. When we're responsible, we don't necessarily fix or take care of things. We respond appropriately. We sometimes find, as we review a situation with our 10th step, that there's nothing to do but let it be or let it go. The 10th step leads us to understand and accept ourselves at deeper and deeper levels. We'll hear recovering women talk about this discovery process as peeling away the layers of an onion. Under one layer is another, and then another. More will be revealed, is a popular AA saying. As you review each day, you may see patterns you didn't know existed, or you may discover new features in the patterns you've already identified. When we review our reactions that arise each day in conversations and interactions with other people, we receive plenty of information about how we respond to life. With this, we can more thoroughly understand our deepest values and feelings. If we practice this step in a spirit of gentle observation and self-acceptance, we'll release more guilt, confusion, and shame. In a 10th step, We continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear, the Big Book tells us. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Women often find that these defects become more manageable as we work with these feelings and behaviors and reflect on them more deeply. A 10th step can help us discover the feeling underneath the feeling. We continue our personal inventory of our truth and promptly admit it no matter what we find. The 10th step is particularly powerful for women. We have a chance to unconditionally accept and validate our experience. As women, we often find that few people stop to ask us how we're feeling or how we're responding to the day's events, but we can give this gift to ourselves. As we review each day, we can ask, what did I notice today? What did I recognize about myself and others? What was true for me today? What do I believe? This can be especially important if we come from families that denied our experience. Those of us from abusive homes, for example, may find our families try to pretend that there was no abuse and often punish or reject family members who disagree. As a result, recognizing abuse, even admitting it to ourselves, can often be too frightening and threatening. We may start to believe the family lies about abuse and doubt our own feelings and perceptions. When we have this kind of history, the 10th step can help us regain trust in our own experience. No matter what our background, the 10th step can help us affirm ourselves and our experience. Admitting the truth to ourselves empowers us to live a spiritual life, to be fully who we are. Step 10 says we promptly acknowledge when we were wrong. Why is this important? As in step 5, admitting our wrongs allows us to connect humbly with another human being. We extend the risk we took when we admitted our wrongs to one trusted person, to other relationships in our lives. This new way of living invites others to be less afraid and more open and honest in return. As we've seen in several other steps, we want to be very careful about how we apply the word wrong to ourselves. We don't want to generalize and always assume we're wrong just because someone else says we are. It's important to reflect on each situation and determine our true accountability. We have to be careful not to assume we're wrong when we feel hurt or angry about someone else's behavior. The traditional AA view is that when somebody hurts us and we feel sore, we are wrong also. It's important that women look a little deeper so that we don't interpret this in a self-blaming way. Too many of us will readily assume we're wrong whenever a conflict arises or someone attacks or offends us. For women, it's important to practice not making ourselves wrong and to concentrate instead on how we feel. Feeling hurt or angry about someone else's actions has nothing to do with right or wrong. If we're upset with someone, our emotional reactions are acceptable and valid no matter what they are. If we choose to act on our feelings in a vengeful or manipulative way, we miss the point of step 10, and we may have some regrets later on. But the feelings themselves are not wrong. We can let ourselves feel what we feel, and we can ask ourselves why we're having such an intense emotional response and what this person's behavior means to us. This is our truth. Still, if we become consumed with anger or resentment, we throw ourselves off balance and make things worse for ourselves. To maintain our sanity and sobriety, we often need to find constructive ways to express or release our feelings and take care of ourselves. And we can remember to go deeper with a feeling before we try to make it go away. A 10th step is a review of the day or week or moment or whatever time interval we choose that helps us reflect on what we own and what we don't. Just as in step 9, we can determine our responsibility, do what is necessary to set things right, and let go of the outcome. In many cases, there may be nothing to do, or it may be that someone else owns the problem. When we become truthful with ourselves in our 10th step, we become more truthful with others. This sometimes creates disagreements we might prefer to avoid. Admitting we were wrong may heighten the discomfort or conflict in a relationship because honesty brings the conflict out into the open. As we reflect with a 10th step on situations like these, we may find it appropriate simply to accept the conflict that inevitably arises in relationships. As difficult as this may be, we sometimes let go of the outcome and let other people and ourselves feel unhappy, angry, or disappointed. One of the best things about step 10 is that you already know how to do it. There's nothing in step 10 that you haven't done in the other steps. In this step, you refine what you've learned so far and practice applying it to your daily life. If you begin your 10-step practice by writing each night or creating another regular routine, you'll probably find that the self-reflection inventory process becomes second nature after a while. You'll develop a natural ability to sense when you're losing your emotional balance or harming yourself or someone else. Then you can pause, reflect, and ask yourself, what is my appropriate response? What can I do to set things right? When you practice the 10th step, you find yourself living in the present moment and becoming more self-aware and spontaneous. What a contrast to the days when we were habitually frightened, controlling, and numb. The 10th step is at the heart of our personal power. Changing what we can, accepting what we can't change, and developing a growing wisdom to know the difference. Now we can participate in life and trust that we'll have options and choices when problems or conflicts arise. Now we can be responsible, able to respond, because we no longer cling to our old patterns. We may still fall back into them once in a while, but we know how to climb back up.